on to the Palantir news of the week. So first of all, Alex Karp did an interview in Switzerland, in Aspens. It was called the Big Ideas Conference with Andrew Ross Sorkin, and he talked about a lot of things. He talked about Ukraine. He talked about the nature of the company. He, quite literally said he is very bullish on Palantir and their technology. I know both of you watched that. Chris, your raw thoughts on that interview and anything he said that got your attention?
Yeah, I think he pretty much nailed how they're going to proceed. I mean, everything that he's been saying about the tough times ahead, the prediction came true, right? So right now we're in a very difficult position, and some of the stuff that I'm starting to see in terms of COVID making a resurgence may end up lending another leg up for Palantir sooner rather than later, believe it or not. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't know how Alex Karp is going to be able to navigate some of the challenges that's happening all over tech. But out of all the companies that are out there that went IPO in the last 2 years, Palantir is like the best positioned to capitalize. That's why they've been hiring. That's why they've been getting all sorts of contracts together. It almost seems like every other day now we're starting to see new contracts kind of just come up, which is good, right? And I think it's going to reflect this quarter when we have the quarterly reports, where a lot of companies are going to have to go down in their earnings, and Palantir may actually raise guidance, which would probably be the best thing ever, because then that just means that it's that traditional contrarian play that we're gonna make. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. For me, it's these 1, 2, 3 interviews don't make any difference. I have long-term vision for Palantir, so like I said, all I'm doing is just DCAing, and it's been good. Whether especially in the fives, well, in the sixes and sevens and eights, adding to my position, my average is down significantly. So I'm happy about that. So hopefully I can keep adding more.
Sachin, your thoughts on the interview?
So I think I liked the interview with Andrew Sorkin, and I also realized that Alex has some of the best interviews on CNBC with Andrew Sorkin. I mean, he doesn't go to a lot of other people, so there is definitely some equation between these two guys. They often come across each other. The couple of things that was highlighted in that interview, the one thing that the risk that everybody was discussing, that Palantir losing grip on the government business, I think that was discussed, and they pretty much said that, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like we are losing. It's just a matter how the business is done, how the procurement is done. If that's true, we should see a kind of an uptick in government revenue moving forward, especially in this quarter and next quarter. Another thing was, which was very critical in terms of like how Palantir is positioning itself in Europe, and what it looks like with the current conflict. I think it looks like the European market is actually expanding, and they are hiring a lot of people. I mean, when I was in UK, I mean, I saw that there was a lot of people in the office. I got the opportunity to interact with a couple of team members in a business meeting. I think last week with Palantir also, looking and discussion with them. Looks like, I mean, things are moving in right direction. Okay, so the question for us is still same. I mean, how much they make in revenue moving this quarter. I would love to have a quarter with a $500 million revenue. Okay, and that's pretty much what I'm setting my eyes. It looks ambitious, but see, Palantir has done in past also 10 to 15% growth, I mean, quarter on quarter. And if they can do it, and we saw that several of the deals being signed, there have been quite positive press also in one way or other way, except from the Guardian article. So it looks good overall. Like Chris said, I mean, to me, Palantir is a long-term play. I've seen the product. I've seen what it does. I think rarely people ask that why a company is securing this kind of revenue from a single client. So my issues were always with like on the go-to-market strategy, where I have seen signs of improvement. I haven't seen the positioning in terms of a strategy that where I say, okay, now we just sit back and everything is okay. I think we haven't reached that point, but signs look good for me. That's all I can say. Back to you guys.
Okay, not bad. Also, for everyone wondering, Chris just put in the chat, he has crossed the 10K club when it comes to Palantir, 10,000 shares. We know Sachin crossed that in his sleep like a year ago. I'm for anyone wondering, I'm still in the 2.1, like I have 2,179 shares or something. So That is the level of shares I have. Now, I want to share an article with that came out for Palantir. This press release, I put it on dailypalantir.com. I suggest everyone subscribe to the newsletter that is on that website. It curates hopefully the best Palantir news on the internet. Palantir partners with Anduril Industries for Army Titan program. So reading off a little bit of the press release. Palantir Technologies and Anduril will partner in phase 2 of the Army's Tactical Intelligence Targeting Access Node, or Titan prototype. Palantir Technologies is one of the competing prime contractors and is a leading team of the nation's best traditional and non-traditional contractors, with Anduril leading the hardware development of the prototype ground station. So Palantir got this deal. They're competing against Raytheon Technologies. It's a $36 million contract, and they've subcontracted Anduril Industries, which is another pretty phenomenal defense company that specializes in AI, which kind of differentiates them from a lot of the other software or hardware companies, to help them build out this prototype for the Army. So your thoughts on Palantir competing for this contract as a sort of a prime contractor, and your thoughts on the partnership with Anduril? Sachin, you can go first.
So let me share first the points in terms of partnership. See, one of the key advantage when you get a partnership is like that when Anduril employees and their lobbyists are interacting with the government and procurement people within those sectors, they are actually doing sales for Palantir also. So suddenly what happens is that you get a dollar leverage. That means somebody else is working and you will get some revenue out of it. Okay, so that is something which Palantir was struggling to create, especially in 2020 and last year. Because like when we see the case of like Snowflake in the commercial sector, we see that they have so many partners. For example, if Dataiku is selling a platform, Snowflake is sold by itself to them. So when there is a strong partner who has a front end piece, and this front end piece is actually liked by the customer, the back end is actually sold by default. So from that part, the partnership is actually very strong. That means despite whatever Palantir is doing on its sales force, there is an additional sales force that will actually make a sale. And this is going to be kind of big. And these are going to be kind of a long, sticky kind of solution. So that is one. The second part is that we have seen that since the conflict has started, there has been a bit of uncertainty within government that are we doing enough when it comes for data, AI? Are we doing enough to counter balance that what China is doing? So there is a sense of urgency, and this is like that they want solutions slightly faster than they earlier thought, which means the solutions which are ready as of today have better chance. So for example, like if you go to a different partnership, for example, different companies come together with Raytheon and AI and all these things come together, they have never worked together. They have different incentive. Like if a Raytheon is getting 50 million out of a contract and AI is getting 500K out of their same contract, they are working for different incentive. They cannot glue their product as easily and as efficiently than an existing product that is already working and in the industry for last 10 to 15 years. So there is a difference. And when we run into these kind of urgent situation, I think government and defense, their focus is more on performance. And if we believe, and that's the argument we always make, that Palantir is superior in terms of performance, yeah, I think they should be able to make this deal good. Back to you guys.
Chris, would it be bad if Palantir does not get this deal, given they have the best tech in the world? They should be able to get it, right?
I mean, government contracting is one of those things that best tech doesn't always necessarily win. Like,
but isn't that why Palantir sued the government, for them to pick meritocratically?
No. So what the Army traditionally has done in the past is they go out there and they say to people, hey, build us a product, right? Palantir's argument in that court case wasn't, oh, we want to build that product for you. Their argument was, we already have a product that meets all the specifications. So according to the rules that the government has, is that if you are creating a demand for something, right? If something that already exists off the shelf, you need to buy that, as opposed to try to develop something new and risk taxpayer money in trying to develop something new, right? In this case, there isn't a product out there that's already built that does what the military needs it to do. So this is where they're putting an open bid out there and saying, hey, we will give you some money, because the federal government usually gives a little bit of money as an incentive. And then there's a portion that goes into the longer contract. So right now, Anduril and Palantir have partnered together to build this. So I think they're going to win, because just like Sachin said, they have more familiarity with actually building software and hardware integrated together, and they can do it within for a much smaller budget than someone like Raytheon. So I don't know, but there is one thing to always consider when it comes to military contracting. There is a significant portion of military contracts that go to a party not based on the greatness of the product, but based on the politicians who end up voting for it in a certain way to get it through. Like I'm telling you right now, you look at half of the military right now, I don't want to say they're being paid by Raytheon, but they have jobs lined up right after they retire, and they go right into the private sector. And Raytheon is a much bigger private employer. So, like I said, right now, if you look at the boards of all these defense contractors, they're all loaded up with former 4-star and 4-star generals. You know, a lot of them who've been doing procurement. So right now, even the current defense secretary, I think, worked for Raytheon. So go ahead. Explain to me why the current defense secretary would opt for Palantir versus his technical,
well, that's why Palantir got that federal advisory board, right?
Yeah, exactly. You need your own people in there too. You need your own people in there too. You gotta. It's the system itself is a very. I don't want to say the word corrupt, but it's a very corrupt system where it's not what you know or your product, it's who you know. Unfortunately.
Okay, so this is a piece of news we didn't cover last week. I want to cover it. I think Sachin can shed a lot of light on this as well, given his experience in the consulting world. Palantir launches a new partnership to secure more governmental deals. Today, Palantir launched a strategic alliance with Guidehouse. Guidehouse is a strategy consulting firm that works with thousands of clients across the globe. 50-50 split between public-private sectors. They have 12,000 employees, and they're in 55 markets, so they're a pretty big company. Under the PR, under the agreement, Guidehouse will architect solutions across its public sector customer base by building on Palantir's Foundry to accelerate business processes, rapid image product delivery, AI, etc. The Palantir Foundry enables data-driven decision-making and operations by acting as the central operating system for enterprise-wide data. And this is hopefully going to be a powerful combination, primarily because of their ability to get more governmental clients for Palantir. So what did you guys think with this partnership with Guidehouse? To me, it was in line with, they partnered with Accenture a while ago, big consulting firm, multi-channel sales distribution. They partnered with Jacobs Engineering, big consulting firm, partnered with Google, which theoretically Google is offering them to the Google Cloud clients as well. So any thoughts on this new partnership with this as well?
So Amit, three things. The first thing is that you remember last time when I discussed about there are 12 golden rules for go-to-market strategy. The one rule was a very deep integration with service SI players. Okay. And so I know this is not the only partnership Palantir is having in a strategy consulting domain. There are other which are not public. Okay. The second thing is, so what is happening in the strategy consulting now? Strategy consulting used to be very conventional, like how it used to work. But if you see the strategy consulting, these companies are doing venture building. These companies are doing a lot of risk reward and performance based award. They are doing a lot of digital work, data science work, IT architecture work, because they want more and more dollar, which is client is spending. And the client also says, we just don't want slides. I mean, we don't want opinion. We want you to put your skin in the game. And they cannot do it until and unless they have a better player. In the strategy consulting domain, your word is your brand. If you don't deliver, if you fail to deliver a product that you said, I think it hurts a lot. It's not like you don't make sales. I mean, during my time in consulting, I never have to discuss with clients too much on the discount part. Client was always focused on the value part. Okay. So if your word is not good, okay, you will lose a lot of revenue, a lot of brand. I think that's pretty much what it is. So whenever a strategy consulting company decides to go in a partnership, they are dead sure that we are going to use this product to deliver value to the client. So this partnership is not like, okay, let's do it and something happens. If they have done it, that means there was a demand from the client. They were already seeing some problems that they can solve using Palantir.
Yep.
Okay. And so this will be put in use from the day zero. And by the time, I think when they are doing it, my understanding is they were already doing some pilots or some partnership with Palantir in some projects, pilot projects. So it is already in process. I also know that, Palantir has done deals with other strategy consulting firms also of different shapes and size. It's not in public. I mean, it's not like confidential or hidden. It's just people don't talk about it. Okay.
Sachin, can
client.
you answer this question from Sean? Is Guidehouse white labeling? Did I misunderstand that? White
No, I
labeling,
don't.
white labeling, I believe, is like when you offer the service, but you put your they put the other company's name on it, but it's like an e-commerce.
I get the idea. I mean, I get the idea. See, I don't think so, because see, normally what is happening is that, so in our traditional digital transformation project, there were few things which were going wrong. The first was that when people were doing digital transformation, a lot of time it was not aligned with the business strategy, and this is where the strategy consultant gets a bit of edge. That why do the strategy part, your digital strategy, and we do the implementation part also. So in this particular case, it's not white labeling, because if they are doing it, that means they're also doing the strategy part of theirs. It's not like just selling the product.
Yeah.
Okay, that means they are also building a control towers on top of it, building the processes, building low code, no code apps that are built on Foundry. They'll be doing a little bit more than that. They'll be building like digital governance, how it's going to look like. I mean, they'll make a selection. Okay, are we going to keep the cloud on AWS, or are we going to keep the cloud on Google? So it's a little more than that.
Okay.